She doesn't regret losing you, not yet. Right now she feels free, unbothered, maybe even empowered. She thinks she made the right decision. She thinks you'll come crawling back, or at the very least, that you'll stay stuck on her name. And you're probably watching her move on like it meant nothing. You're sitting there wondering how someone who once swore you meant everything now acts like you never existed. But here's what most men don't realize. Regret doesn't show up early. It arrives late, after the silence, after the dust settles, after she realizes you were the last man who gave a damn. You see, she's not hurting because she thinks you're still hurting. That gives her control. That gives her comfort. But what happens when the attention disappears? When the messages stop? When you vanish? Not out of pain, but out of purpose. That's when the clock starts ticking. Not for you, for her. Because while she's riding the high of doing what's best for her, she doesn't know that you're not staying the same. You're not frozen in time, stuck on the memory. You're becoming unrecognizable, colder, stronger, clearer. She doesn't regret losing you right now, and that's exactly how it should be. Because regret is a slow poison. It creeps in when she sees you've outgrown her without a sound. This isn't about hoping she hurts. This is about knowing that your silence, your detachment, and your growth are going to speak louder than anything you could ever say. She doesn't regret it yet, but she will. And by the time she does, you'll be long gone, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, untouchable. She doesn't regret it yet, but she will. And by the time she does, you'll be long gone, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, untouchable. Let's talk about the psychology of delayed consequences and how to make her feel what she never expected to. If you're done needing instant validation, if you're ready to let time and silence do the talking, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. She'll regret it when I'm gone for real. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Her regret is not instant. It's delayed. When she walked away, she didn't feel the loss. That's what stings the most, right? How she could just let go, smile, post selfies, and carry on like nothing happened. You're sitting in the aftermath, chest heavy, thoughts racing. Meanwhile, she looks untouched. But here's what you don't understand yet. Women process loss differently. They often don't feel the consequences of walking away until much later. Why? Because they're not leaving when they feel done. They're leaving when they've already checked out emotionally weeks or months prior. You're just now feeling what she already planned. But that's the trap. She feels ahead of the pain, so you assume she's winning, that she'll never regret this, that it meant nothing. Wrong. Regret isn't a switch. It's a time bomb, and it starts ticking the moment you stop reaching out, when your energy goes cold, when the texts stop, when your name fades from her notifications. That's when something subtle shifts inside her. At first, she's relieved. She thinks you've given up. But give it time. Weeks go by. You don't orbit. You don't chase. You don't show signs of crumbling. That silence, it grows heavy. And suddenly, the absence starts to echo. That's when regret begins to form, not because she wants you back, but because she realizes you're no longer accessible, that her presence in your life didn't leave a permanent mark, that she was replaceable. It doesn't hit immediately. And that's good, because you're not interested in instant gratification. You're interested in long-term dominance, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Her regret will come, quietly, slowly. And when it does, you won't need to hear about it. You'll feel it in her confusion, her indirect messages, her attempts to re-enter your world. But by then, you won't be there to greet her. Number 2, the man you were versus the man you're becoming. She didn't leave the man you are now. She left the man you used to be, the version of you that still had open wounds, that gave too much without boundaries, that didn't know his own worth yet. That's the truth most men miss. She didn't break the strongest version of you. She walked away from the man who hadn't become him yet. And that's your leverage, because while she feels like she's moving forward, you're evolving in a way she can't predict or control. The man she remembers. That guy answered right away. He posted for attention. He tried to prove his worth after she stopped seeing it. But the man you're becoming, he's not reactive. He's not trying to prove anything. He doesn't even need her to notice, because everything he's building now is for him, not for her, not for revenge, for legacy. This is where Stoicism comes in. You don't level up for show. You do it in silence, with discipline, with intention. While she's focused on external distractions, you're stacking internal victories, mental clarity, physical strength, financial control. You're becoming something rare, and that's when regret sneaks in for her. Not when you flaunt success, but when she realizes she can't access the new version of you. Because let's be honest, the man you were before wouldn't have walked away. He would have waited, hoped, folded. But the man you're becoming now, he doesn't wait for validation. He outgrows everything that doesn't serve him without apology. That shift is psychological. That shift is spiritual. And when she realizes she left the man who was just moments away from becoming great, regret doesn't just hit, it haunts. She didn't lose you when she walked out. She lost you when you decided to never be that man again. Number 3. Post-breakup silence is not weakness, it's pressure. She expects noise, drama, emotion. She expects you to spiral, to lash out, to send that one last message just to get closure. That's what most guys do, make their pain obvious, give her the emotional upper hand, beg without realizing it. But when you go silent, when you don't react, don't post, don't flinch, that's when pressure starts to build. Because silence isn't weakness, it's calculated power. Most people confuse quiet with loss, but real loss makes people desperate for control. And your silence, it denies her that control. She doesn't know if you're hurting. She doesn't know if you care. She doesn't know if you're healing or already gone. That uncertainty, it eats at her. Because now the script has flipped. She went from knowing exactly how to trigger you to having no idea what's going on inside your head. This is where the psychological tension grows, because when you say nothing, she fills in the blanks. Her mind runs wild. Is he over me? Did he meet someone else? Why hasn't he said anything? That silence becomes a mirror, and the longer it lasts, the more she sees herself clearly. And often, for the first time, she realizes what she threw away. Silence is pressure because it forces her to confront the reality she thought she was immune to, that you can live without her, that you can thrive without validation, that you don't need to prove your worth to someone who walked away. Most men collapse under heartbreak. Stoic men turn the volume down, focus up, and let absence speak louder than words. This isn't about ignoring her to get a reaction. It's about mastering yourself so completely that you don't need one. When you stop explaining, justifying, chasing, that silence becomes deafening. And that's when the consequences begin. Quiet, slow, inevitable. Number 4. Time plus absence equals doubt. In the beginning, she's confident. She believes she made the right choice. Maybe she even felt empowered walking away, telling herself you'd always be around if she changed her mind. That's how most people cope after leaving someone. They rewrite the story to make themselves the hero. But the clock starts ticking the moment you go ghost, not out of spite, out of evolution. And what happens over time, in the absence of your attention, is something she never anticipated. Doubt. You see, Absence doesn't just remove you physically, it erases the version of you she assumed would wait. The longer you stay gone, the harder it is for her to keep believing the narrative she built. Time exposes lies. It magnifies silence. And the more distance you create, the more space she has to sit with the one thing she can't control: her own thoughts. At first, she's too distracted to notice. Maybe there's someone new. Maybe she's leaning into friends, pretending she's better off. But weeks pass. Your name doesn't pop up. No "I miss you" texts. No likes. No signs of emotional weakness. Just stillness. And then it hits. What if he's really moved on? What if I overplayed my hand? What if I walked away from something real and now it's gone forever? That's the power of time and absence combined. Together, they break the illusion that you'll always be an option. Doubt starts to corrode her confidence, the same confidence that made her think you'd chase. Now, she's chasing clarity, but you're not offering any. That's what haunts her. Not your presence, but your disappearance. Not your words, but the quiet she can't decode. This isn't revenge. This is nature taking its course. You removed the emotional supply. You reclaimed your energy. And in doing so, you triggered a reaction no argument, no closure talk, no grand gesture ever could. Doubt. And doubt is where regret begins to grow. Number 5. The cold realization hits when you don't come back. She thought it was temporary, that your silence was just a phase, that eventually you'd break, that you'd text her on some lonely night, that you'd cave just to feel seen again. That's what she counted on, not because she's evil, but because she was used to being wanted. She assumed your feelings were stronger than your self-respect. But then the days turned to weeks, weeks into months, and still nothing. That's when the cold realization hits. You're not coming back. That moment doesn't hit her all at once. It creeps in slowly, in the cracks between her distractions. It hits when the new guy doesn't understand her the way you did. It hits when she thinks about something funny and realizes she doesn't know who to send it to. It hits when she starts reaching for her phone, halfway through typing your name, and remembers you're gone. You see, most men lose their power by leaving the door open, by staying just available enough to give her a sense of control. But you locked the door and vanished without slamming it. That's what cuts deepest. You didn't burn the bridge. You simply walked away from it and built a new one in a direction she can't follow. That's not cruelty. That's evolution. When you don't come back, you send a message louder than any words. I didn't just get over you. I outgrew the version of myself who needed you. And that's what she never expected. Not that you'd move on, but that you'd move up, past the pain, past the fantasy, past the part of you that used to crave her presence. That's when the regret gets real. Not when she misses you, but when she realizes she can't reach the version of you that healed without her, the one who found peace in her absence, the one who didn't come back because he never needed to. Number 6. Her ego wasn't ready for you to outgrow her. She didn't expect you to stay broken, but she never expected you to level up either. See, most of the time when someone walks away, they think they're walking away from someone who will stay emotionally stuck, orbiting their memory. That's the ego's safety net. Believing you'll always be one step behind, still hoping, still watching, still waiting. But when you start to elevate, when your body, your mindset, your discipline sharpen, her ego takes the first hit. She might not say it. She might act like she's unbothered, but trust, she notices. Whether it's a mutual friend mentioning your growth, or she stumbles across your profile and sees the difference in your energy, your focus, your silence, it hits. Not just because you changed, but because you changed without needing her to see it. That's what burns. You didn't glow up for attention. You evolved for survival. This is where the regret goes deeper. It's not just about missing you, it's about realizing she no longer defines your story. Her chapter is closed, but the book keeps getting better, and now she's not part of it. That's a brutal blow to the ego, because deep down, she believed she was the peak of your emotional experience. She thought no one else could understand you like she did, that no one else could reach the level of closeness you had. But now, that closeness is something you've outgrown. Her ego wanted to stay significant, even if she didn't want to stay committed. She wanted the option to return. But you shut that door by becoming untouchable. And here's what she can't admit. She doesn't miss who you were. She misses the control she had over him. Now that he's gone, and you've replaced him with a man forged through discipline, silence, and self-worth, there's nothing left for her to hold on to. Outgrowing her wasn't your revenge, it was your release. But for her ego, it's the beginning of regret she'll never outrun. Number 7. Your focus shift is what wrecks her illusion. In the beginning, she was the center of your world. Every move, every thought, every plan, she was part of it. She could feel it in how you looked at her, how fast you replied, how much you cared. That attention, that focus, gave her security. It gave her power. So when she left, she believed a piece of your life would still orbit around her. That's the illusion, that even without being there, she'd still matter. But when your focus shifts, when you pull your energy back and redirect it inward, you destroy that illusion. She's not used to emotional gravity being pulled away from her. It's subtle at first. Your name doesn't pop up anymore. You're not watching her stories. You're not liking her pictures. She tells herself it's nothing. But over time, she starts to feel it. That strange emptiness where your attention used to live. And the deeper your focus shifts to your craft, your fitness, your peace, the more invisible she becomes. Not because you're playing a game, because you're actually done playing. There's a different kind of power in a man who moves on without a sound. He doesn't announce the comeback. He doesn't ask for anyone to notice. He locks in, he executes. And that focus, that unshakable direction, it changes your energy. People feel it, even from a distance, especially her. She thought you'd spiral. Instead, you stabilized. She thought you'd chase. Instead, you disappeared into your own mission. And that's what wrecks her. Because now, she's not the main character in your story. She's a footnote, a plot twist that pushed you into your final form. When your focus shifts, you stop being available for games, for breadcrumbs, for memories dressed as opportunities. You see through it all. You're too focused to engage, too grounded to react. And that quiet certainty, that's what haunts her. Not because you moved on, but because you found something more important than her, yourself. Number 8. You were a lesson. Now you're a standard. At first, she thought she could replace you, maybe even upgrade. She believed there were better options, more exciting energy, someone who wouldn't challenge her, someone easier to control. And maybe she found someone new, temporarily. But over time, something strange starts to happen. The farther she gets from you, the clearer she sees what she lost. Because now, she's not just comparing new men to a memory, she's comparing them to a standard. And that standard is you. She thought you were just another guy. But now, in hindsight, you've become something else entirely. The man who gave her peace when her world was chaotic. The man who stayed solid while she was uncertain. The man who offered depth when she didn't even know she needed it. That doesn't fade. It lingers. And the more she dates, the more she realizes how rare that energy was. Here's what you need to understand. Regret isn't loud. It's not some big emotional breakdown. It shows up in quiet frustration, in failed connections, in late-night scrolling, in moments when she realizes the men she's entertaining aren't built like you. They don't lead. They don't understand her. They don't make her feel safe because they're not you, and they never will be. You were a lesson, a test she failed, a mirror she wasn't ready to look into, and now you're the blueprint, the ghost that haunts every date that doesn't measure up. That's not something she'll admit out loud. She might even act like she's happier now, but deep down, in the spaces she doesn't share, your presence still echoes. That's the price of walking away from a real one. You don't beg to be remembered. You become unforgettable, not because you tried to be, but because you embodied something real, something solid, something she didn't recognize until it was gone. And now, she's not looking for love. She's chasing a version of you that only exists in memory. Number 9. The worst kind of regret. The silent kind. She'll never text you and say, "I messed up." She won't call crying, admitting she underestimated your worth. That's not how it works. Regret, real regret, is silent. It creeps in slowly, quietly, when she's alone, when no one's watching, when she can't fake being unbothered anymore. The worst kind of regret isn't the kind that explodes. It's the kind that simmers, that lingers, that builds day by day until it becomes permanent. You won't hear it in her voice. You'll see it in her behavior, in her hesitation when she sees your name, in the way she scrolls through your stories but never reacts, in the random messages that come out of nowhere, trying to check in without revealing too much. She doesn't want to admit it. She can't admit it, because that would mean accepting the truth. She let go of something real, and you didn't chase her back. Most men crave a dramatic moment, a breakdown, a confession, an apology, but that's not how this game ends. The real win is knowing that your silence forced her to deal with everything internally, with no outlet, no audience, just her, and the realization that she gambled on your weakness and lost. You see, the woman who walks away with pride often carries shame in secret. The longer you stay silent, the heavier that shame becomes, because she knows, if she reaches out now, you're not the same man she left. You're colder, sharper, distant, and that version of you doesn't need answers, doesn't need apologies, doesn't even need closure. That's what eats at her, the silent knowing that you healed without her, that she's no longer part of your peace, and the door she assumed would always be open no longer exists. She'll carry that regret. She'll bury it, but it'll never leave, because the worst kind of regret is knowing the only person who truly saw her is the one she can never reach again. Number 10. Your evolution was the consequence. She thought walking away was her power move, that disappearing, cutting ties, or choosing what's best for her would leave you waiting, chasing, questioning your worth. What she didn't expect, what she couldn't even imagine, was that her leaving would be the exact thing that triggered your evolution, that her exit wouldn't destroy you. It would wake you up, and by the time she realizes that, the damage is done, not to you, but to her sense of control. You didn't fall apart. You got focused. You turned pain into progress. While she was watching your absence, you were building presence. While she was wondering if you'd ever reach out, you were reaching new levels of mental strength, emotional control, and physical discipline. Your evolution became the consequence she never saw coming. That's the part she'll never say out loud, that she thought she'd leave and you'd come back with more. Instead, you gave her nothing and gave yourself everything, and that's what stings the most, not your success, not your silence, but the fact that your highest self was born because she let you go. The irony? She had front row seats to the raw, unpolished version of you, but the refined, elevated version. She doesn't even get a glimpse. That's the beauty of detachment. You don't evolve to make her regret. You evolve because you finally saw what she couldn't, your own value. You stopped negotiating with pain. You stopped chasing what left. And in doing so, you became the exact kind of man she can't access anymore. Not because you're cruel, but because you outgrew the situation that once had power over you. She was the catalyst, but you were the consequence. And that consequence, your growth, your silence, your unshakable presence, is the price she'll keep paying, quietly, permanently, while you keep rising without looking back. She didn't regret it at first. She felt free, confident, maybe even proud. But regret doesn't strike in the moment. It waits. It watches. It creeps in when silence replaces validation, when distance replaces attention, when the man she thought would never change becomes someone she can't even reach. And by the time she feels it, it's already too late. You didn't chase her. You didn't try to prove your worth. You let your absence do the talking. You let your evolution be the response. That's the quiet victory. That's the delayed consequence. She doesn't regret losing you right now, but she will, and you won't need to say a word. If you're done waiting for someone to feel your worth, if you're ready to let your growth be the consequence, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "I became the consequence." This is Stoic Blessing. Stay silent, stay sharp, stay untouchable.